Hi, so this morning I was doing some editing and I thought I would do a quick video that shows a little bit about what I've been up to so that others can sort of see what I'm looking for when I start going through a topic or a page. So I was going through this page, start using Git on the command line, and I just start by kind of looking at the page and the organization. So I notice, there's quite a bit of words here. Some, they might be good, might be not. Let me just keep going here. It starts with some prerequisites. So when I see prerequisites, I think, oh, a bulleted list of sort of things I need to do. And there's some text, but okay, terminal and Git. Okay, so that's probably maybe could be better as a bulleted list. Okay, and then here's how to open a terminal and install Git. So this is good because it's kind of scannable. Good, scannable. And then this one has a few more steps, so it'd probably be better as a numbered list. It's just another task, configure Git. Then it starts to talk about authentication methods. So this is where I kind of got a little just like, we're starting to talk about HTTPS, we're talking about SSH, and then we talk about SSH and HTTPS again, and sort of not in the same order. And like, I'm kind of thinking like, oh, why aren't these probably could be combined somehow. I'm not sure yet. I'm just kind of looking, and we're explaining authentication methods. But if you look over here in the nav, then we start talking about terminology right after. So are the authentication methods terminology? But they probably know what authentication is, or, but maybe they're not sure how to authenticate. So we're trying to teach them something, but it's not a term. Not sure yet what I'm going to do with this. So I just kind of keep going. Okay, there's some terms. Looks good. We're teaching people some terms. Push and pull. Okay, and then we get into some tasks. Set up a repository. Okay, and then we start talking about HTTPS and SSH again. So this is set up a repository. I'm thinking, where is the numbered list? Like this seems like a task to me, so it should have a numbered list. And then same with clone. Okay, I'm clone. Now, if I'm a customer, do I read this? This seems to have some commands mixed in. Maybe I'm gonna have to run these commands. But then here it also says, here's the commands. But I read up above briefly that SSH is actually the recommended one. So SSH should probably be first. And sort of, there's no easy scanning this. I kind of have to go back and read it and say, okay, well, the URL is this, but I'm going to use, the URL is also listed here. So I just wanted to that was my thought process, was like, oh, we're talking about authentication methods here, but we're also talking about them down here. Maybe they could go together somehow, as long as I still have nice tasks. So this was kind of all that I've been looking at, is this top chunk here. And so I went through it a bunch this morning, and I kind of came up with a structure. So I wanted to show you what that was. Let's see. So you can sort of see this top section is pared down a little bit. So let's look at it in a little more detail. It says Git's an open source distributed version control system designed to handle everything from small to large projects with speed and efficiency. Well, so by the time, if somebody's in the GitLab documentation and they're ready to start using Git on the command line, they're like, they've been, my toaster just went off. They've been very brave, and they're like, I'm ready to start using Git. We probably don't need to sell them on the fact that it's designed to handle everything with speed and efficiency. It's a little bit of just wasting their time. They're like, I just want to start using Git. Like, I get it. Okay. So GitLab's built on top of Git. Okay, that's kind of an interesting thing. I'm not sure what built on top means, but that's okay. Maybe they're related, is what you're saying. GitLab has a powerful user interface. Yes, we do, but I don't know. Again, we don't know if we have to sell them on that. You can do a great amount of operations. Okay, but the command line is required for advanced tasks. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. You need Git for advanced or the command line. Good to know. Okay. Oh, for example, if you need to fix merge conflicts, rebase branches, use it from the command line. Then there's a little bit describing what this guide is, and it's called like self-referential writing when you write about this guide. So if you can, it's not always possible. It's a really hard thing to kind of just say, it's hard to not say this page contains or this tutorial is about, but if you can, just try to get right into the content, and you don't have to say, this tells you how to start using Git from the command line. This has references and blah, blah. You could probably just get rid of it. They know I came to this page because I want to learn how to use Git from the command line. Then we have a little bit of like marketing text, and that's fine. We've been asked to put marketing text in here and there, so that's probably what that is. And then there's this note about, visualizing Git. So I just pared it down. I said, it's an open source version control system, Git's built on top of it. You can do many operations directly, however, the command line is required for advanced tasks. And then I kept some of the links that they had. So that was like the pared down version. And then I just went right into the terminology. So I don't want to mix the tasks with the terminology. So just do some terminology, repository, fork. This is pretty similar to what was there. Then I got to my prereqs. So remember, we kind of had a little bit of like a couple sentences. Instead, I just said, these are the things you're going to do. And, you click the link to get to the topic itself. So you open a terminal, install, configure Git, and pick a repository. And I'll show you why I did that. But so we're going to go through these. Open a terminal. Great. It's a procedure. I mean, this is a little bit not a procedure. It's like you have some different options but I think it's fine. Install, because it's easy to scan. You're like, oh, I'm a Windows user. Let me see what I can do. Install Git. Great. Configure Git, made it a numbered list. Now I created a topic called choose a repository, because basically as the last prerequisite, it's like figure out where you're going to start working in a repo. And if you want to use the sample one on this page, here's how you fork it. So if they're if they're new and they're like, I just want to use a sample repo, this tells them exactly how to do it. And it gives them a link to if they want to fork another one, if there's more information. And then we get into the tasks. So here's where the HTTP, so we didn't talk about authentication yet. We didn't talk about HTTPS. We didn't talk about SSH. So here we're saying, okay, clone a repository. It requires you to add credentials. You can use either an SSH is recommended. And I know all the writers are saying that's passive voice, and that's for another day. I think I'll probably change this to GitLab recommends SSH, but that's a discussion for another day, how we say what we recommend. Anyway, it's 2 procedures now. That's it. It's use this when you want to authenticate only one time. Use this when you want to authenticate each time. It's like, well, who wants to do that? Probably, maybe not many people. But this is the information that was over on the other page in sort of various areas. Like it was enter your credentials every time you perform an operation. GitLab no longer requests your credentials. And it's like, we don't want to write from what GitLab kind of wants or doesn't want. We're just like, hey, what is it for me? Oh, I don't have to enter my credentials every time. Awesome. Authenticate. Only want to authenticate one time. Actually, it should be want to authenticate one time only. Not perfect, just moving toward it. Anyway, so clone repository, clone with SSH. And these are numbered lists. You just go straight through it and then you've cloned it. And all that additional sort of back and forth between what is authentication, how to authenticate, and it's like, no, now it's just pick one or the other, and here's the instructions for how to do it. So that's what I wanted to show today. Yeah, that's kind of, so I started with the terminology, and then we just get right into the prereqs and then the tasks themselves. Thanks. I hope this was helpful in any way. Let me know if you ever have any questions. I'm happy to answer them.